Hello, everyone. At some time in our lives, maybe early, maybe late, each one of us must make a very important discovery. Important because upon it depends our true status as a person. That discovery is the realization deep within ourselves of that great truth so well expressed by our English poet, John Donne, when he said so many hundred years ago, "No man is an island, entire of itself." It's odd that for most of us this realization only seems to come through misfortune. But I didn't philosophize. In fact, I came to tell you a story. It's a very everyday story. In fact, it's the sort of one that occurs 1,000 over in any community. But this particular one happened to occur to a young man called John Anderson. In fact, you may know John and his wife, Marjorie. Possibly they live in your street. But that doesn't matter. What did matter, to the Andersons anyway, was the day John came home from work, the same as any other day, only this time to find his wife very ill indeed. Suddenly, John's whole world seemed to crash about him. Nothing mattered now, not even the son he was hoping for. He'd heard of things like this. She might die, just like that. He must do something quickly. Time, time. That was the important thing. Time. Briefly, the doctor gave John the diagnosis. It meant hospital, urgency, and a blood transfusion. The important thing was blood. John wanted to give his blood. This surely was something he could do. He remembered his blood group from army days. Unfortunately, it was the wrong type. But there was no need to worry. The doctor assured him a telephone call had that matter under control. There would be blood for the transfusion. And of course there was. The Red Cross blood bank had been busy too. But it was not until much later that John realized how it had all come about. Marjorie was alive and well because some other people he'd never heard of, had made a gift of their blood for someone they'd never heard of. It was odd when you thought about it. Once in a newspaper article he'd read, blood was described as the river of life. The phrase had stuck in his mind. Now it really meant something. It was a personal matter, this. Maybe the Red Cross could use a few pints of his blood for someone else. They certainly can, said the nurse. They'll welcome you with open arms. And they did. Waiting to give his first donation, John felt not nervous exactly, but a bit strange. But he chatted to the other donors and told his story to the man next to him. It's a sort of payback, you see, he explained a bit sheepishly. But despite all this medical paraphernalia, there was nothing to it, this giving a pint of blood. In fact, he was almost disappointed that it didn't hurt at all. A man with a mission, John was. It didn't take long. Then all you had to do was rest for a while. He felt fine, but that's what they said. So he rested, and rather enjoyed it too. Then there was a cup of coffee, and off he went. In 3 months, he'd come back again to give another pint. At least it would help to repay what those other people had done for Marjorie. That chap over there said he'd given 22 pints so far. Well, why not? They seemed to need it pretty urgently. And so John Anderson's contribution went into the most important bank of all, the bank from which anyone in the community may draw what money cannot buy, life and health. But it wasn't there for long. About 150 miles from the city, young Peter Craig, aged 4, was engaged on a little private exploration of the big world about him. The farm machinery exercised a magic fascination for him, and with a little persistence he found he could scramble right to the very top of a big and wonderful thing he'd never seen before. Then he slipped. It was an anxious journey to the little bush nursing hospital. small world of Peter Craig hung on two threads: science and speed. Time became something almost tangible in the little room that night. The river of life, they called it. It was only a small paragraph, but it caught John's eye. Someone had given that blood, perhaps several people. Yes, it jolly well could be. And it was really only then that John Anderson made his discovery that no man is an island. He realized that we are all dependent on each other all the time, even without knowing it. And he knew only too well how that mother and father had felt as they waited through the night. Their son's life had depended on him and people like him, just as Marjorie's life had depended on someone else. And that is how John Anderson became an important person, both to the community and to himself, for he had learned to give. Perhaps it doesn't seem to you a very big thing to give. And in a way, it isn't. For surely this is something that very, very many of us should be able to do. But you see, it all added up to much more than just John's visit to a blood bank. A little of his time meant a lifetime to someone else.